Without any other things, I'm going to introduce Bob Charlton, who is a Tennis Canada official, who will be our presenter tonight. Bob.
Hi ladies, thanks for having me here tonight. As Suzanne said, my name is Bob Charlton. I'm an official at Tennis Canada, and I'm also an outreach, development and engagement consultant for the Tennis Canada officiating department. So going to rules clinics like this, organizing officiating clinics across the country, that kind of thing. That's what I do when I'm not on court. Have any of you been to a rules clinic for a ladies league before? Yes? Okay. All right. So it'll be a review clinic for some of you. So you have a presentation. There's some fun videos in there. We'll cover some issues that are apparently common problems in ladies league. Hopefully everything will be addressed. And we'll also have some time for questions. The only thing I would say for questions, I just don't want to get into any big war stories, we'll call them, type thing, right? But if we have any general questions, then I'm happy to answer those. At Ollie's request, some housekeeping. In case of an emergency, the exit's over there to the right, and washrooms are just out the door and down the hall to the right. So without any further ado, we'll get started. So for Ladies League, the rules of tennis apply. Some of you have got rule books tonight. There's a box in the back corner, and I don't want to take any home, so help yourselves if they're left at the end of the evening. Ladies League, we use the guideline for unofficiated matches, and that's on page 137. So when we're playing tennis, these are some of the key principles we should try and follow. Being honest, being respectful, having etiquette, and having integrity. One thing that I like to suggest is the best thing to do is, when you think about these rules, is to use them to police your own behavior and not necessarily police each other, right? If we all do our best on court to follow the rules, make good line calls, not foot fault, all those kind of things, then it will go smoothly and we don't have to argue with each other about rules or decisions that are made. Sportsmanship, fair and generous behavior, treatment of others, especially in a sports context. And now a little video about sportsmanship.
You would expect Jack Sock a lot faster on his fastest forehand hit, 163 kilometres an hour. Fault.
How's it if you want to challenge it?
First serve.
Oh, this is great. He is challenging.
He gave you the point anyway. All right, challenge left near sideline.
Carlos Ramos is going through the motions.
Out.
Good sport, Jack Sock.
Well, this better be in. Otherwise, he's going to look like a goose. I think he's confident and he knows it's in.
Let's see the result, and it is in. Don't you love that? Good on you, Jack.
So in the perfect world, we would all be like Jack Sock in this moment. He's not always perfect, but this was a good sportsmanship moment. The tennis court. So in doubles, 36 feet wide, 78 feet long, and The reason we're showing you these numbers, some other things that are 78 feet would be the top of an airplane or a really long boat. And the point we're trying to make is, if you're at the baseline, you can't always really see that other baseline 78 feet away. Possibly more if you're behind the baseline. And again, this kind of plays into line calls, that kind of thing, right? The net, 3'6" at the side, should be 3 feet in the middle with the net cord. So if you get there and it's straight across, then it's a little bit too high. Tennis balls, for official play, they need to be either yellow or white. Lost balls being replaced with balls of like wear. So that means if you are 2 games into the match and a ball gets launched out of the courts and we're not going to find it, we should replace it with a new ball. If you are at the end of your match and you lose a ball or two and you need to replace it, you should be replacing it with a used ball of similar wear and not taking a brand new ball out of the can to use. Balls which have lost compression, I should have brought a tennis ball with me, they will be really flat. So a broken ball, you will fully be able to squeeze it. If that happens to you, that point would be replayed and you would replace that ball. On the other hand, if you have a ball that just feels a little bit soft, or if a ball gets wet, if you're playing outdoors, you would replace the ball, but you would not replay the point. Okay, so only if it's broken would you replay the whole thing. So the tennis racket. If you break your racket, if you break a string during a point, you obviously have to finish the point. You don't call a let and replay or anything like that. If you are the receiver and your opponent hits a first serve and your string breaks, if you would like to replace it, your opponent would get a first serve. If you are feeling lucky and you want to play with the broken string, then they would still have to play with the second serve, and then you would have to replace your racket at the end of that point. Next question. How many dampening devices are you allowed to put on your tennis racket?
One more than one.
So I've heard 1. Any other guesses?
Nobody would care.
You can actually put as many as you want on there, as long as it is outside of the cross strings. Yes. Yep. You cannot put one inside of the string bed though. I've never seen anyone play with more than 1, but again, if you wanted to, yeah, maybe you should get a new racket or look into that, but you are allowed to do it. So before you begin your warm-up, we do the coin toss. You have a couple choices: serve, receive. You can choose a side, or if you don't want to pick, you can make your opponents choose. If the match is suspended, so if you get out, you're doing your warm-up, all of a sudden it starts pouring rain, the original coin toss result would stand, but when you go back out, you are allowed to make a new decision. So if you get out there and all of a sudden it's really sunny and you want to pick a side instead of serving, you're allowed to do that. Yes, but as I say, the original coin toss stands. Yeah. So we change ends at odd number of games, and after tiebreaks, during tiebreaks, we change every 6 points. That includes the 10-point match tiebreaks. We still change every 6 points. she wanted it noted that there's not a sit-down break after the first or second game. It would be the third one. The first one, if you're passing, you want to grab a quick sip of water. Yes, but it's not a full minute sit-down break. And during the tie break, again, as you're changing sides, if you want to have a quick drink of water, towel off, something like that, but it's not a full sit-down break when you're changing after 6 points. When a ball touches a permanent fixture after it has bounced in the court, whoever hit that ball has won. So if you hit the ball, it bounces in the court, you've hit a big angle, it goes into the fence or it goes into the wall, you would win that point. If it hits the umpire chair or the bench or one of the curtains between the courts before it has bounced, then you would lose that point. If you have any questions about what permanent fixtures are, there's a full list in the rule book there. For example, like I say, stands, seats, benches, anybody in seats, if there's an official on courts, if you hit the official with the ball, they're a permanent fixture. Lights, if it hits the ceiling. Scoring devices, that's a big one. If you're playing doubles and you have one of the scoring towers that are on the net post, if you hit that scoring device, you lose the point. So the ball's in play from the moment that after we've served, yes, until it's bounced twice or until it has gone out or it's hit a permanent fixture, and then the point would end. This is a big one that happens at all levels. Even if that ball looks like it's going to go 6 feet wide, wait until it bounces to call it out. Indoors, it wouldn't be a big concern, but if we were outdoors and you called it out and all of a sudden it comes back in, then you've called it too early and you would lose that point. If you hit a winning smash or a volley, if you're at net, after you've hit that ball, if your racket, your feet, your clothes, anything touches the net before that ball has bounced twice, you lose the point. So it has to bounce, right? So first bounce, second bounce, or if it's bounced and then hit a permanent fixture, right? So if you hit it out and it hits the curtain, you can fall into the net, but it has to bounce twice, yeah. So if you're really close and you touch that net, even if you hit a great shot, you will lose that point. The lines are in. So what we say is a ball that is 99% out is still in. And this also comes back to one of those first slides that I showed, 78 feet away, yes, integrity, we want to make good calls. But again, when you're on your side of the net, especially if you're at the baseline, 78 feet away, the ball might look like it was on the line, but it can actually be just long. For you guys, we want you to make out calls only when you are seeing a space between the ball and the line. That is the easiest way to go about it, right? Because we don't have Hawkeye on the courts to confirm these really close ones. So that's the easiest way to do it. If there's not space, if you don't see that space, then we should be calling it in. Here's a fun little video.
Oh, way out, way out. No. Nope. Nope, nope, nope. Wide. Back. Back. Deep. Nope. Oh! Just out. Oh, a little back. Sorry. Just deep. Just deep. Hit the fence on a fly. Are you kidding me? No, out. There's a mark right here. I found it. Serious? Right here, yep.
What do you mean mark? We're on a hard court.
Well, that doesn't matter to me. That's the mark.
Dude, we're not on clay. You can't check the mark.
Oh yeah, I can. But look at me. There's a bunch of them.
Exactly.
But I mean,
Yeah. There's like 150,000 marks right there. How do you know it's mine?
Well, I know there's a lot of marks, but this is yours right here. It's very close. Good try.
Ridiculous.
My call.
It's ridiculous. Out. Come on. No. Let's go. Let's go. Yeah. Come on. No. Come on. It's out. Out. Come on. Let's go. Woo. Out.
Out. Out. Out.
Come on. 15 love.
Wait, whoa. You mean love 15?
No, 15 love.
That one now? That was way in.
Yeah, dude, it was way wide.
Oh, wait, well, first of all, you didn't even call it. Second of all, it was in.
I thought it was obvious.
Well, if you're going to make a call, at least call it out.
15 love. 15 love.
Unbelievable. Out. Deep. And wide. No. Out. Yep, still out. Nope.
You sure?
Oh, yes. Way out.
Way out. Give me way out. No.
What?
Way out.
Middle of the box.
So, none of us want to be those people, right? So that's why, police ourselves, right? Don't be this person, right? Make fair line calls, make good line calls, integrity, respect. Before we go there, for me, when we're calling the ball out, we want to be really loud and clear. Some people, some people have quiet voices, that's fair. But if the ball is going out, out. Out. And the other thing you can do is kind of put your hand up like this to visually indicate the ball is out. Sometimes you see people do like this. It does not inspire confidence in their call, right? So if you're gonna do that, put your hand up, say out, make sure everyone can hear you when you're making that call. Service motion. So service motion is deemed to begin when the arm starts to move in order to toss the ball or to prepare the racket swing. So, for example, bouncing the ball when you're at the line is not your service motion. So the service motion would begin when you kind of bring your hand up, right, when it's coming to the racket and you're about to toss it. Some people have an abbreviated service motion. They might get their arm up before they're tossing. If that's what you do, if your arm is up like this first, then the service motion has begun, right? So as soon as we either start to toss the ball or as soon as we're moving our arm to serve, it has begun. So, for example, foot faults, if you're bouncing the ball and your foot is inside the line, that is okay. But when you go to start that service motion, your feet need to be behind the line, okay? If you're receiving and you make an attempt to receive the ball, you are considered ready and you can't go back and say that you weren't ready, right? After you've mishit the ball or you've hit it into the net. So make sure that you're ready when you're getting ready to receive, because as it says, you can't unready yourself once you've moved up to the line and the server knows you're ready to receive the ball. So foot faults, we can't touch with either foot the baseline or the center service line, the extension of that, the middle line down the court, or the doubles line on the side. So if this was the middle line of the court, you also can't put your foot back this way. That is also a foot fault. If you're way outside of the doubles alley and you go outside of the court when you're serving, that's a foot fault as well. And so it's not just the baseline. This one can be a little controversial, but the receiver and their partner can stand anywhere they want on that side of the court. You don't have to be behind the baseline, you can be inside the baseline. The receiver's partner, if you want, they can stand right by that center service line. There's no position you have to be in to receive the ball. So this is just to show what I was mentioning. So center service line, if we touch that line or cross it, foot fault, and singles or doubles, whichever sideline you're playing with, you can also not, you can't cross that. So you need to be within that area there to serve. No running up to the line to serve or anything like that, like volleyball. Of course, there's a little bit of foot movement, that's okay, but we're not taking steps and walking into the serve. This is going to show you a really obvious foot fault and what not to do. I'm sure we might have all seen that at some point, but this is a very obvious foot fault. And really, especially if you're playing doubles, we're calling these faults because you're putting yourself at a bit of an unfair advantage if you're serving and you're starting that point and you're inside the court, right? We saw he was 2 feet inside the baseline when he hit the serve and started the point. Is your opponent foot faulting? Be really sure if you're going to point out that someone is foot faulting. Again, if you're at the back of the court as the receiver, 78 feet away from your opponent, you probably wouldn't be the one to be calling the foot fault or mentioning it, right? If you're at net and you see your opponent foot faulting, we should mention to them, hey, it looks like you're crossing the line when you're serving. If someone says that to you, take a little bit of a step back, right? Move an inch or two back. Make sure there is space. Then there will be no complaints about foot faulting. You can't really call foot faults on your opponent, right? In an unofficiated match. Again, goes back to that honesty, integrity, respect for your opponents, and wanting to play a fair game. So if you see foot faulting, again, you can mention it in a polite way. And if someone tells you that you're foot faulting, try not to be upset or defensive. Just say, okay, and just move a little bit back, and then everybody feels heard. And then for sure you won't be foot faulting, right? So the service, players and teams alternate as server and receiver. In doubles, the order of serve that you establish at the beginning of a set is what you need to follow through for the rest of that set. At the beginning of a set, you can change your service order if you'd like. You can change the side that you are receiving on if you like. If you're playing on deuce side and you want to switch to ad, that's okay after a set or before a match tiebreak begins. Alternating between both halves of the court, so you're moving both sides. So the ball must pass over the net and hit the ground within the opposite service court before the receiver returns it. If the first ball served is a fault, the server is entitled to a second serve, which should follow in a timely manner. To note in the rule book, it also starts, we should be starting every point with 2 balls, at least. You should have 2 on yourself, 1 for your first serve, 1 for your second serve. At the very least, your partner should have a second ball. That is a timely manner. It would not be a timely second serve if we only have 1 ball, we're stopping, we're taking 20 seconds to walk to the back of the court, pick another one up, and go back. So that's, it's, that could happen. But again, so as a general rule, if you're serving, start the point with 2 balls on you, okay? Server wins the point if the ball touches the receiver or her partner before it hits the ground. And it's a fault if you hit your own partner with your serve. So the server has up to 25 seconds between points. That 25 seconds starts as soon as the ball goes out of play, and you need to be in your service motion by that 25-second time limit. The receiver is expected to play at the server's pace, but they are also allowed reasonable time between points. It's not specifically written in the rule book, but Tennis Canada, we say 12 to 15 seconds is reasonable for the receiver to get ready, right? For you to go, perhaps, if you have to use your towel quickly. Some servers play really fast, right? And you don't have to play like in 2 seconds. If you are receiving, you can take that time. Not the full 25 seconds, 12, 15 seconds to get yourself ready to play. We do want to play at the server's pace, but again, we all want to be reasonable. Again, this is about being fair, having integrity, not gamesmanship, trying to rush people, that type of thing. The server should not serve until they notice that the receiver is ready. I'm sure we've all been guilty of serving without really looking at what's happening at the other end, and our opponent wasn't ready. So I know I've gotten in the habit of taking a look at the other end of the court. Is the receiver, kind of in position, or at least looking in my direction with the racket up before I start serving the ball? If you do serve the ball and the receiver wasn't ready, it would be a let. Okay, it would be for the server, and you would get first serve again. Service let. So if it touches the net and then goes into the correct court, or if you serve the ball, if it hits the net and then hits the receiver or their partner, that would be considered a let. So if it touches the net and then hits someone, it's a let. If you serve and it hits somebody without hitting the net, It's your point. Okay. Yeah. If you're the receiver, if you weren't ready, if the server hit that ball, if it was 10 feet long, you can't take back the not ready, then they get a let. You're redoing that the service case. Or if you are on a second serve and they're not ready, it would still be second serve. You don't get to go to first serve. Yes?
Your second point, I think that's really important too, because some people think you can't call it.
Anyone can call a let. Sorry, anyone that's playing on the court can call a let, right? Spectators, coaches, anything like that, they have no say in what's happening, but anyone who's on the court playing can call a service let if you hear the net. So other lets, we'll probably encounter these. Most lets occur when balls come onto our court from other courts. We should be calling those. If you see a ball coming behind that's behind your opponent, we should call a let, especially if it's maybe going in between them, if it's in the middle of the court. Again, I think we would probably all feel terrible if we didn't call a let and somebody rolled their ankle. So in the name of fairness, yeah, if you see a ball coming onto your court from another court, call a let right away. To clarify, I've seen this happen before, you can't finish the point and then say, oh wait, there's a ball back there, right? So if you see a ball come onto your court, call it right away. Yes?
If the ball comes in the back and the point is almost done on the opponent's favor and the ball was behind them, would you still call a let?
So I would say as a blanket rule, right, if the ball is coming in and it could affect play, call that let. If your opponent has just hit a winner and it's at the very back of the fence and nobody is near it, would I call a let? Personally, no. For me, anything that's coming quickly, if it's bouncing at the back of the court, there's a lot of movement like that, call a let.
And again, anybody can call a let in that situation.
Anybody can call a let. The other thing to remember is that it has to be in your court. You can't call a let because, oh, I think a ball might be coming over. I've seen that before as well. So it actually needs to be within your court. Again, this is just about player safety and fairness. So you see the ball coming in, call it promptly. Spectators, if they're yelling out, again, doesn't matter what the spectators have to say. And again, don't listen to the spectators. We lose the point if the ball hits the ground outside of the line of the opponent's court, or if it touches a permanent fixture, if it bounces twice on their side of the court before you get to the ball, if you throw the racket at the ball and make contact with it, you lose that point. If you volley the ball or smash the ball before it has crossed the net to your side, you lose that point. If it touches yourself, your clothing, you would lose the point. If your racket, your clothing, your shoes, yourself, any part of you touch the net while the ball is in play, we lose that point. If the ball is deliberately carried on the racket and hit more than once, you lose the point. If you are in one motion and the ball is hit twice, that is not the same as hitting it, it goes up a little bit and then you tap it away again, right? Or if you're at net and you catch it on your racket and then you just kind of dump it over. As long as you're in that one motion of hitting the ball, if it, hits the strings, hits your frame and goes, that's one swing and that's okay. The point on the bottom here that we're making is that it's kind of twice that you're hitting the ball that you would lose the point. Okay? One, that's what it looks like if you throw the racket and hit the ball. Two, it shows that officials are not always perfect. In this case, it was just the angle. He had his back turned to the chair umpire a little bit, so he couldn't actually see if the racket was in his hand when he made contact. We can all see that it was out of his hand. So if this happened, if you're throwing the ball to hit it, you would lose that point. Again, if we're playing with this idea of honesty, integrity, having respect for our opponents, we should be honest, right? Here's one.
Touch.
This shows even the number one player in the world makes mistakes sometimes. So again, if that ball is, even if it looks like it's going to be 10 feet long, don't try and catch it. Don't touch it with your racket. It needs to bounce out first. If you touch it before it's bounced, sadly you have lost that point. Okay? Good returns. The ball, it's hit within the proper court, it's gone over the net or around the net post and into the court. If it lands on an object that was laying on the court at the start of the point, for example, if you start the point with a ball on the court, you haven't picked it up after a fault or something like that, if that ball gets hit, that's an example of an object left lying on the court. Okay. The ball can touch the net. It can touch the net posts. In singles, it can touch the single sticks before it hits the ground. And as long as it lands within the proper court, that's okay. So here at the bottom, if a ball lands within the proper court, rebounds over the net, that is the only time where you would be able to reach over the net to hit the ball. I think there's a video in here of that. So if you hit a drop shot with lots of spin, it lands on my side of the court, it comes back over to yours, I can run up, hit it into the net, hit it off to the side, hit it through the court. That's the only time that you can cross the net to make contact with the ball and not lose the point. So, yes, yeah, you would lose that point, yeah.
If anything, it'd be with his foot. They can sort of lean over a little bit. Ugh.
No. I don't think I've ever seen that before.
So he, Canada won the point there. So again, only time that you are able to put your racket across the net to hit the ball. Here's an example of the ball hitting the net post and going in.
Serving down 1-love in the fourth set, 2-1. Oh my gosh, that hit the post. I have never seen that. That was not a net cord clip. That hit the post. That ball was going out by 2 or 3 feet.
Come back.
Back into the court. Look at this thing. Just good concentration by Del Potro and hang in there and get to another match point.
Yeah. So in doubles in this case, if it hits that net post and goes back into the court, that ball is good. Sorry? No, if it hits the net post and lands in the proper court, it's still in play. Yeah. So in league play, there's 2 types of tiebreaks that are used. We have the 7-point tiebreak that we play at 6 games all in a set, and there's the 10-point match tiebreak that we can be used in lieu of a 3rd set. The match tiebreak, just to clarify, would be considered a new set. You can change your service order before that starts. You can change who's receiving from what side before that starts. You cannot do that before a tiebreak at the end of a set, though. If you get to 6 games all, it has to continue in the same order that you've been in. So tiebreak is won. First team that gets to 7 by a margin of 2 points. The player whose turn it is to start serving in the tiebreak, you serve 1 point from the deuce side of the court. The next server on the other team would then serve 2 points starting on the ad side of the court, and that rotation would continue on. And again, every 6 points, we are changing ends in the tiebreak. Match tiebreak or set tiebreak. So the player team who served first in the tiebreak receives first in the next set. So you would essentially consider whoever starts that the tiebreak, you would consider that as being your service game, and then it would rotate to the next team afterwards. So if an error has been made and the wrong team started the tiebreak, the team who is due to receive first in the tiebreak is the server in the next set. So you don't want to be in a situation where you're not serving twice in a row or receiving twice in a row. Okay? I've been told that information has been given out about correcting errors. So that would touch on if the wrong partner was serving or receiving, what to do in those situations. So I know that Suzanne and Laurie have provided that to everyone. So the Tennis Canada rulebook is also available on our website as a PDF if you're ever in a rush to look something up. Match tiebreaks are played instead of playing a full 3rd set. Again, it's first to 10, winning by a margin of 2. The team who received first in the last game of the previous set would serve first in the match tiebreak. And you would only switch sides if you had finished on an odd game. So if you finished the second set at 6-4, you wouldn't change sides before you start the match tiebreak. You would wait until you get till you finish the first 6 points, and then you would change sides.
In the match tiebreak, you're changing sides every
6 points.
same thing.
Yep. So again, before the match tiebreak, you can change your service order, you can change your receiving order. Sorry.
Just a quick question. Does it matter who serves when you start? Like, if we were both playing and it was technically my serve at the start of the tiebreak, can my opponent be the one that serves, or does it have
For a match tiebreak, you can change your service order. So a match tiebreak, you consider starting a new set.
Yeah, okay.
If it's a tiebreak when you're at 6 games all, no. The service order needs to continue the same as it has been throughout the entire set. Okay? Before the match tiebreak, you do have the 2-minute rest period, just like between sets. But again, that 120 seconds is from the time that the ball goes out of play until you're starting that service motion again. So it's not 2 minutes of sitting on the bench. It's 2 minutes between the ball going out and you starting the next set. Hindrance, there's 3 types of hindrance. There are outside hindrances, there's unintentional hindrances, and we have intentional hindrances. An outside hindrance, such as a ball rolling onto your court, a paper or a ball can rolling onto your court, it's not the fault of either player. A let should be called immediately, and we should be replaying those points. If it happens between a first and second serve, it doesn't need to be a first serve again, unless there is, so if you're in your service motion, then in a let is called, you get first serve. But unless it's a really long delay, like if a ball runs onto the court, we should stop, send it back, and then serve your second serve. Okay? Again, to me, it was reasonable if a ball comes onto our court that it would take a couple seconds for us to pass that back, and I should still be doing my second serve. If there's some big kerfuffle and we're really delayed and we're getting like 30 seconds or a minute, maybe somebody's run onto the court or the whole bench is tipped over, maybe a second ball comes onto the court, then again, we should be fair and we should be offering a first serve. But again, for me, if it's a simple case of a ball coming onto your court and passing it back, you should be just playing your second serve.
But in the case of a let, is it the opponent that offers the let? If you're serving and you feel like maybe you want the let, it's not really up to you.
Yes, it is not up to you to say, I want first serve. Okay?
That's etiquette.
Okay, sorry, I just want to keep pushing through this, ladies. Here is an example of an outside hindrance. Yeah, this is the case where I would give a first serve. And there you go, first serve. Unintentional hindrance, for example, so a ball falls out of your pocket, a hat falls off of your head, all of a sudden you're stung by a bee in the middle of match and you let out a yell. Only your opponent can call that let. So a good way to think is you can't hinder yourself, right? your hat falling off of your head, it doesn't hinder your play. It falling out of your pocket, they would say, does not hinder your play. It's about your opponent. These actions unintentionally distracting your opponent. And so if your opponent doesn't say anything about your hat falling off of your head, it's not your call to make, right? You can't call, I'm trying to think, I don't have the video in here. There's a Diego Schwartzman match where his hat flew off of his head, I think at Wimbledon, and he was trying to put it back on, and he was wanting the chair umpire to call a let, and he ended up losing the point because, as we said, these actions do not hinder yourself according to the rule book.
The opponent didn't care, so
yeah. The chair umpire in that case did not feel like it was a hindrance to the opponent. He didn't call it because he touched his hat a little bit. So the first time it happens, if a ball falls out of your pocket once, replay the point. If it happens again, if it keeps happening, the balls keep falling out of your pocket, I would find some new shorts to wear or something, because you will lose the point if it happens more than once. Okay? So if your hat falls off and then the ball falls out, the ball, it's the same thing. They're both unintentional hindrances. Okay? Stung by a bee, so that example is, again, because if you accidentally yelled out, well, after you hit the ball and it's traveling to your opponent's side, you didn't do that to intentionally hinder their play or distract them. It was, the bee is an outside influence on the match who has unintentionally hindered you. So again, this is about your opponent's actions, that unintentional things that distract your opponent's play. Intentional hindrances: waving a racket in your opponent's face, shouting to distract them, tapping the racket on the court while they're playing to distract them. All of these are intentional hindrances, and you would immediately lose the point.
So if someone shouts out that they're doing the ball to me and they think they hit a winner, and they yell yes, but I'm still going for the ball, that's a hindrance, and it really should.
If someone is
yelling out,
if someone is yelling out loudly while that ball is still in play and it is traveling in your direction, then that is a hindrance.
so it should be our point.
Just like grunting by the opponent on each shot. Is that
On each shot.
So grunting is complex. The way that I would put it is, for me, if somebody grunts every time they hit the ball, that's something that they do, right? And that I don't think that I would hope they're not intentionally doing it just to distract your opponent. Sometimes we grunt if we're running and it's an effort shot, something like that, or if we're serving. That is not a hindrance, right? That is just us playing our game, exerting some energy. If all of a sudden on match point somebody started screaming every time they hit the ball and they hadn't done that at all in the match, that would be different. To me, that would be hindrance.
So say somebody, I don't know, you hit the ball or somebody hits the ball at you and you react quickly and give a scream or whatever, and then they, like as you're hitting it back over, that can happen. Then,
to me, that would be something that was a quick reaction. That to me is unintentional. Okay. This is specifically more, as you're about to hit the ball, right? That's what we don't want to do. But if it comes at you and you're just kind of like, that's a little bit different. You know what I mean? You're not, again, you're not having that reaction to intentionally distract your opponent. That was specifically talking about making loud noises or talking towards them to impact their play. Example of intentional hindrance. And then if you watch right now, so she stopped. They'll replay this. In the middle of the rally, she tapped her racket 4 times on the court while the ball was going to the other side. Right, so if you're hitting a ball and it hits the court once, that's one thing. If you hit the ball and then you go tap, 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 while it's traveling towards your opponent, that is an intentional hindrance. But I don't know why they did that, but she did. I think they will. If not, we can watch it again. Yeah. And you can tell she does it intentionally. Right? Right? So, very intentional. Again, an example of what we don't want to do.
Yes. I don't have enough coordination. Yes.
That was another one, waving our hands in front of the opponent, but we're just going to rush through. So all points played in a good faith stand. Error in service order, we're correcting immediately. Players, if you're at the wrong end of the court, if you realize you didn't switch, change immediately. Order in receiving, you're staying until the next receiving game. If there's an error in service during the tiebreak, even number of points. So if you're at 1-1, you change immediately. If it's an odd number of points, so if you realize after you've just played 3 points, then it stays. You would stay in that order for the rest of the tiebreak. Again, and these are all in the correcting errors sheet. Scoring dispute. If you have a scoring dispute, what we do, and this is a lot of what we do when we're officiating junior matches, if there's some kind of a disagreement, right? You think it's 30-15, you think it's 15-30. What we can agree on in that point is that you've each won 1 point, right? And there's 1 point that we're disputing who won it. What we would do is we would throw out that point that is in dispute, and we would only count, we would keep those points that everyone has agreed upon. Okay, that's the fairest way that we can do it. So again, the best way to avoid this happening is whoever is serving, call the score between every point and make sure that everyone can hear it. Because if we do that, then we don't have scoring disputes.
So if you call the score and you actually think there's an error, it's okay to just go like this?
Yes, so if I go up to serve and I say 30-15 and you think it's 15-30, yes. Stop it right then. Have that conversation. Sometimes you talk and then it's, you know, oh, actually, yes, you were right. I hit that second point out and it is yours. Sometimes we can't agree. And again, that 1 point that is in dispute, we would throw that out and we keep the points that we agree on. Okay?
30-15.
No.
What's the problem here? It's 30-15.
No. 5-30. 5-30.
Well, wait a minute. I won the first point, right?
Wait a sec. Excuse me, guys. Let me just help you out here. So, who won the first point?
I won the first point.
And so, what do you think the score is?
30-15.
And
5-30.
15-30. And you won the first. And you agree that Louis won the first point.
He won the first point.
Who won the second point?
I won.
I did. He hit the ball into the net.
No. That was the last game. I hit the ball into the net.
No.
There was a clear winner on the second point.
No. It was a rally, and you hit the ball into the net.
Okay, thank you. Who won the third point?
You won the third point.
Okay, so you're sure of the second point? You can't agree on this? You can't remember hitting the ball into the net? Or?
I remember winning that point very clearly.
He hit the ball into the net, making it.
So, gentlemen, let's throw that point out. We're going to play at 15-all and continue from there. Okay. Now, please, before every point, when you're serving, call the score out so that you both can hear each other and that you are on the same page and you can not have this kind of confusion. Okay? So let's play, guys. Thank you.
Thanks.
Continuous play, again, 25 seconds between points. First and second serve, we're hitting that without delay. Between sets, we have 120 seconds. That's going from the time that, again, the ball goes out of play until you are serving the next point. And regular changeovers, 90 seconds. If we're suspending play, if play is suspended, the warm-up time that you get depends how long you've been off court. So if there's just one of those quick Vancouver rain showers and then we can play again. If it's been less than 15 minutes, we just go back out and we play. 15 to 30 minutes, you get a 3-minute warm-up, and 30 minutes or more. So if it was delayed, we're coming back to play again, we would do a full warm-up. Again, all of this is in the rule book. These times, yes.
I have a question about the 120 minutes. So
seconds.
In the first and second set, if you have to go to the bathroom.
So if you're going to the washroom, you are allowed reasonable time. Because if you, for example, if you were playing here in the lower bubble and you had to run up to the club to go to the washroom, it would not be reasonable to expect that you would be able to get back in 2 minutes, right? Again, don't take the scenic route, but yes, reasonable time for bathroom breaks. If you're suspending due to darkness, we should try and do it at the end of the set or otherwise at an even number of games. And if you're playing outside and there's lightning, obviously you should stop play immediately. Toilet breaks. Each team is entitled to, you're entitled to 2 toilet breaks. If your team goes together on the set break to the washroom, it counts as 1. Okay? If I go to the washroom after the first set, and then my partner goes after the second set, those are the 2 washroom breaks gone. So if you go together, it's 1 as the team. The thing to remember though, and this will be in here, toilet breaks are for going to the toilet. It's not to strategize, it's not to rest, it's not to try and throw your opponents off. At sanctioned events, they actually would have, even professional events, we go in and we have to make sure they use the washroom and do that, otherwise it's a code violation. If you're going to change your clothes, has to be taken on one of the set breaks. Again, if there's an emergency and you can't hold it until the set, you can go to the washroom, you're allowed reasonable time, but it has to be before your team is serving. You can't, say, oh, you're about to serve, sorry, I gotta go to the bathroom, and make you wait, okay? You have to play out that game and then say, okay, I gotta go before I serve. Okay? medical issues. We can have medical timeouts for a treatable condition. 3 minutes for treatment. Play should not be stopped for longer than 15 minutes in total, right? We can stop, so you can figure out what, say you twisted your ankle a little bit, you need to stop. Can I play on this? Do I need to just stop and go to emerge or what have you? So you can take a couple of minutes to evaluate. If you think, oh, I'm gonna be okay, you can take that 3 minutes, wrap up your ankle or put your brace on, and then resume play. But again, no longer than 15 minutes in total. Really, 3 minutes for treatment. So if you start putting that brace on or you start wrapping your ankle, 3 minutes. And again, this should only be for acute issues. Again, something like you roll your ankle, you fell, you scraped your knee. This shouldn't be, my bad back is acting up, I need a couple of minutes, right? That is, that's something that unfortunately is just part of your game and isn't really, you know, an acute issue that needs to immediately be dealt with. So cramping does not qualify for that medical timeout. What you can do is, if you're on the ground, if you're cramping, you are a game away from the changeover break, you are allowed to forfeit those points to get yourself to the changeover so that you can treat yourself for the cramping. Suggestion, carry a packet of the yellow mustard with you. It is good for, I know it sounds weird and it doesn't taste good, but yeah, this is just a little tip. Yeah. No, eat it.
Eat it?
Eat it. I've been asked that as well. No, don't rub the mustard on yourself. Yeah, eat it, and it will help with the cramping. I know it sounds crazy. Banana too, yeah. But just not a fancy, yeah. The plain yellow mustard, believe it or not. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So again, yeah, if you're on the ground in pain, you can forfeit those points, get to yourself to the changeover so that you can get treatment for your cramping. The one time that you have to stop play is if somebody is actively bleeding on your court. So even if you scrape your knee, it's bleeding, you say, oh, I'm fine. No, you have to stop play.
Only 5 minutes.
You only have 5 minutes. So if you have a nosebleed, I would take that whole 5 minutes and sit there making sure that it has stopped bleeding, because if it starts again, it's over. Okay, so again, 15-minute max for treatment, and this includes, the reason that it's 15 minutes, that's your time to put your shoes back on, your socks back on, or you know, whatever you've had to remove to do your treatment. So that is where that total time comes. Vomiting is not considered a treatable medical condition. Right, we can't stop and kind of wait that out. There's nothing, unfortunately, really we can instantly do to cure that. Treatment, you should always be doing it on court. It should be in front of your opponent and your partner, unless it's in a private area and you need to leave the court to have some privacy. Rest is not allowed as a form of treatment. So if you say that you've hurt your ankle, yeah, you have to actually do something with those 3 minutes. You can't just sit there for 3 minutes.
Good match. Good match.
How am I ever supposed to concentrate? Let's go. Dude, unbelievable.
So lucky.
So lucky? It's 4-1 in the second set. I'll take the third. Are you serious?
Dude, you don't have that. Are you serious? Open your eyes.
Good match.
Good match.
Good match. Out.
Match.
Good job, man. You know, I'm sorry. I just played 18 holes earlier today, and then I had a big lunch. The wind was really blowing everywhere. The sun was in my eyes. You know, my partner's not really good. She's been, you know, struggling recently. My wrist has been hurting lately. My ankle's been sore. She's just terrible. And I mean, I had to carry the whole team. I haven't had this restrung in a while, and my string's really loose. This is really tough. My other racket was broken, and the balls just seemed really flat, and I couldn't get a rhythm off of it. So my girlfriend dumped me last night. My grandma passed away yesterday. It's just been a rough time.
Must be your other grandma. You used that one last week.
Well, no, I mean, yeah, the other one. You've got these birds flying around, chirping, dogs barking, and all the, you know. Hey, I came straight from work, so I mean, I didn't have my right shoes on. It just really affected the way I played today.
Come on, Ian.
Second serve.
Let's go.
Oh my gosh.
Are you seriously? Like, are you trying to hit me or
stand in my
something?
box.
Are you trying to hit at the girl?
It's the first point of the game. Yeah. Your legs don't even sweat. Come on.
Warm up, it's not a practice, right? We don't want to be hitting passing shots. We want to have a good rally to get warmed up. Playing under the coat, if you're claiming a hindrance, you have to stop play right away. We talked about that with balls coming out of the court. Anything else, can't do it after the point is finished. You're entitled to a let only if the player could have made the shot if they were not hindered. And no talking or shouting really as the ball is moving to your opponent's side of the court. Again, perhaps some kind of hand signal to work out with your partner. Try and limit talking. Players are responsible for the balls on your side of the net. You are allowed to ask your opponents to clear the balls from the court, even on their side, when you're starting a point. Again, 2 balls is enough to start the point. If the third ball is on another court, do not delay play. Just, if you have 2 balls, you can start the point. Don't interrupt other courts' play to retrieve your ball, please and thank you. And again, if a ball comes onto your court from somebody else, try and be when you're passing it back. Don't drill it at them and say, "Thanks for ruining my match," or something like that. So honor calls, in or out. This is what we said. Must be a clear space. Has to be after it lands. We need to be clear about making that call. Invasion. If your racket touches your opponent's court, or if you touch your opponent's side of the court, right, going around and touching it. Nod up, the double bounce. That's an honor call that you are making. Your opponent is not making that call. Touches, again, if the ball is touching yourself, the racket and going past, your clothes. Again, those are honor calls that you're making yourself. over the net, again, that's the call that you're making. But again, we should do not hit the ball before it passes over to your side of the net, okay? And double hits, again, that's an honor call that you are making, not your opponent. I don't get to say you hit the ball twice, right? If they hit it twice intentionally, you should be calling that yourself, okay? So all of these are honor calls that you are making. Line calls. These are just some pictures to show you how the ball looks from different perspectives, right? Right? It is the biggest source of conflict in matches at all levels. Players, you call the balls on your side of the court. You give your opponent the benefit of the doubt. If it touches any part of the line, it is good. If you cannot 100% sure, call it out. It's good. If you and your partner disagree on the call, it goes to your opponent, right? The other thing to note, I think it'll be on the next slide, is if you ask your opponents, did you see that ball? Like, what did you see? Was that in or out? If you ask them, you have to take that answer. Again, when you're calling the ball out or you're calling a let, anything like that, you need to be very loud so that everybody hears you. And again, that's why I said for out calls, it's also a good idea to put our hand up as well so that everyone can see. Spectators, coaches, teammates, anybody else, their line calls don't matter at all. It doesn't matter if they come up to you and say that ball was so out. It doesn't matter what they have to say. Yes?
What if a server calls her own serve long?
In the rule book, it will show you the only time that you should be calling your own serve long is on the second serve. You can call a double fault on yourself if you want, but you cannot call, otherwise no, your opponent is calling that, calling those balls. So again, remember the lines are in, and the other thing to remember is that sometimes when we see the ball, when it lands, where we're seeing it come from is actually, it's not where it actually landed, right? That's where it's moved and it's coming up from. So these are examples. The ball could catch the back of the line or part of the line. It compresses a bit, and when it actually comes up, it will be back a little bit, right? So when you're making those line calls, you're trying to watch exactly when it landed, because if you just see it kind of as it's taking off from the bounce, it's going to be a little bit farther from where it actually landed. Okay? So again, if it is not 100% out and you can't see space, I would call it in. Clear mistake. So we're going to look at some balls from these positions. They're all the same ball, just different positions. Right? So this just shows you, again, the 78 feet across the net, the 36 feet wide. It's very difficult to call balls that are on the other side of the court from you. Okay? So again, if you're not 100% sure, we're calling it in. Role of spectators. None. Just be supportive and encouraging. So again, spectators, we want to be polite and respectful to everyone else. So there you go. When you're watching the match, here are the do's and don'ts. Yeah.
So I keep going.
Okay. No, that's okay. That's.
I did want to see the last video.
Oh, the last video. Yeah, we can watch that.
These are spectators.
Got it! Mine! I thought I had it. Got it? And you miss it? Got it? Me! You? I got it. Mine! Your overhead's weak, I'm sorry.
Your mom's weak.
Yours? Dude, it went right past you. Yours! Are you serious? Well, you were hogging all the other shots. Yours. Yours. Just hold still. Yours. 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 What, do I gotta do everything? Heads up. Oh, heads up. Oh. You put it a little deeper, man? Oh my gosh. Terrible. Yeah, it was. Ah, sorry. Ah! What? See, watch the ball. It hit off your frame. You gotta watch. Use your eyes. Watch the ball. Did you watch the ball? See, let me help you out, man. You gotta step into the ball. You gotta bend your knees, man. Bend. You gotta get down. Sit down like you're in a chair. Bend your knees. That's it. Yeah, dude, much better. You gotta turn your shoulders, man. You got here. Let me show you. You gotta get like here, and then follow through.
Whatever you do, don't double fault. Don't miss, because if you miss, we're gonna lose. And we don't want to lose. We don't want to be losers. Don't hit it into the net. Gosh. Told you not to hit it into the net. Anywhere but into the net. Don't blow it. I said don't blow it. God.
So ladies, if any of you have any questions, you can email me. It's officiating@tenniscanada.com. That's okay. It's okay. And also, I don't know, if anyone has an interest in officiating at all, we're having a clinic on March 18th that'll be at the Tennis BC Hub in Richmond. And we'll have some... and that's fair. It's not for everyone. Yeah. So yeah, but if anyone's interested in that, you can email me about that or talk to me here as well. Officiating@tenniscanada.com. Okay. All right. Thank you, ladies. Like I say, if you have any questions, I'm happy to stay. Okay?